everyone, my name is Ashley Sweeney and I'm here to discuss how to implement cultural competence, to teach cultural competence in our classroom, and to develop a curriculum that involves and equally addresses all students and their unique individuality. So, what is cultural competence? It is teaching and accepting your own cultural differences among everyone else around you. It is trying to get to know someone for who they are and accepting them, and creating an environment where they feel comfortable in expressing themselves. As a teacher and an educator, and as parents of my students and family of my students, it is our job to collaborate together, to come together and to help work on building that developmental skill in our young children to view the world and to view each other as a positive way, and to implement that just because someone is different from them, it doesn't make it a negative thing. It's a positive thing. We can learn from each other. We can accept each other. We can communicate and teach each other. So for that, it is our job as parents and teachers to work together to help build those social skills in our young children, to be able to openly discuss how they feel about others, their strengths, their weaknesses. We want to know what, and their emotional development is involved when they come to a classroom and they're not used to being around certain people, or maybe they're not exposed to different cultures at home, and then they come into my classroom and I have students from all over the world. They're from all over the world, Hispanic, African American, and the children hear these other students speak in their native languages. And so if they're not exposed to that, they might be a little intimidated or nervous around these students who can speak that language, or vice versa. These students who come in and who are confident in who they are, but then they walk into my classroom and they're around people that they're normally not around, or they're exposed to things that they're normally not exposed to, and it makes them uncomfortable. It makes the situation hard for them to communicate in order to be able to play and learn and excel and experience the same things in my classroom. So it is my job to work with our families to come up with a curriculum-based plan, to come up with discussions, open discussions with the families, get to know my families, get to know my students individually to help better understand them in order to be able to base my connection with them and my relation with them in order to be able to provide the necessary tools in my classroom for them to learn and excel. I'm sorry. As an early childhood educator, it is important for me to listen to my students, to observe my students in my classroom, to pay close detail to how their body language is, their facial expressions, who they're playing with, who they're not playing with, and to reflect on that in order to be able to discuss with other professionals in my facility, or with a board of educators, on how we as teachers can help implement more opportunities to help socially connect these children to where they don't feel like they have to be shy or timid just because they're different. It is important for each and every one of us as adults and as children to feel confident in ourselves and who we are, and to embrace who we are as a person and where we came from, because that matters. Who you are and where you came from matters, and you shouldn't change that just because you're scared no one is going to accept it. So ways that I could do this in my classroom is to implement the cultural diversity around the world in books that I read. Children love story time, and if you get a really good book and you engage those students in that story, and it is actually teaching them about accepting others for who they are, it tells stories about people from Africa, people from Asia, people from all around the world, and they see the different holidays that these cultures celebrate. They see the differences that they have and how they they live their life, and then they compare them to how, they live their life. And so by being able to allow children to experience it through a story, the differences and how we live our private lives away from class, can help them understand who they are in the classroom and better be able to socialize with them. Another way would be with play materials. For example, I have 2 baby dolls, and in your classroom, you're going to have anyone you can think of come in. You really don't know who's going to be your students when they come in, and it is developmentally appropriate to provide tools, materials, posters on your walls, books to read, to be able to discuss, and as for me, a teacher, research and understand all cultures and all religions, to be able to better understand when a family comes in who they are in a way before I even talk to them, so I know. And so we provide different races of baby dolls, so that way everyone feels connected and they can play together, because we don't want to make anyone feel left out. Another thing that we could do is for teachers, professional teachers, we could get together, create a professional community of listeners to sit down and discuss and talk about the challenges for teachers to handle situations in the classrooms where students might not be being nice to other students who are different. You have bullying, you have misunderstanding, you have children not wanting to play with other children because of the differences that they have. So it's our job as teachers, being in the classroom, to direct and to create moments to where these kids can openly and communicate together in order to be able to create a friendship. If they're scared, they're not going to walk up to that person and say, hey, do you want to play? So it's our job to create situations to where they have that opportunity, and to be able to discuss it with other professionals to get their opinions, and even community members in our area. We can invite them in, people from different restaurants, people who do different jobs, and let them, come as visitors in the class and discuss where they came from, what they do for a living, what kind of food do they eat, what kind of holidays do they celebrate, to just open up the chain for these children of all the different cultures there is in this world, and how no one is the same person. We're all unique, and that leads to being responsible of other people, to being responsible of yourself, to having respect for other people, respect for yourself, the ability to accept one's uniqueness for who they are instead of putting them down or being guarded because they're different. It's dire for you to teach this to young children at a young age, because research suggested that that is where it starts. The home life of the child and what they're exposed to and what they're not exposed to is how they view the world. So if we as teachers and parents and families don't communicate together to create this in a young age, where they're concrete learning, absorbing everything that they hear and see, if we can implement this through activities and ways that they can understand it, then they're less likely to grow up and be a part of what is going on in this world today. We want to make a change. We want people in this world to feel accepted and not to feel discriminated against. We need everyone to come together as one, and so it starts with the next generation. It starts with the parents who are parenting these children, the educators. I remember, I think it was in 252 EDC, I either watched a video or read about it where the situation happened in a classroom, and a young boy of a different race, there was an African American boy and a Caucasian boy, and there was a question relating to the color black. And this young boy who was black was very, very positive about that color. He was proud of himself. And then this other boy put him down for it, told him black was an ugly color. How do you think that made that child feel, to hear someone tell him that the color of his skin was ugly? And the teacher didn't know how to react. The teacher didn't handle the situation the way that he should have. Instead, it kind of made the young African boy feel more excluded from the group than to feel embraced and appreciated. So the way we teachers handle situations in our classroom where we see children putting other children down or picking on them or ignoring them, we have to step in and we have to create a positive way of handling that situation and openly talking about it as a class discussion on how beautiful each and every one is. And you can do that through activities. You can do it through the skin color crayons they just came out with. You can do matching skin color activities. You can read a book about the different skin colors of the world, and you can read, or you can also do thumbprint activities where each student will place their thumbprint on a piece of paper and compare the similarities and the differences and how they're alike and different. And everyone has similarities. In some way, you are going to connect with someone in some way. And then you're going to have a bunch of stuff that's different from that person. So in this way, teaching this and making sure you're implementing it each and every day in the classroom is important for our students. I feel that it is important for me to understand my biases, and understand my culture and understand who I am, so I can feel confident in myself, so I can embrace my own culture. And when your students see that, and you are teaching them about being confident, and you are teaching lessons and skills about accepting themselves and accepting others, you can only hope and pray that what you're teaching is they're listening and they're paying attention, because they might not be getting this type of education on self-acceptance and acceptance of others anywhere else. You don't know. That's why it's really good to work with the families. So open communication, positive enforcement for bullying and anything of that nature, positive discussions throughout, the class day, weeks, picking out books specifically for multicultural differences, and embracing who each and every one of our students are, getting to know them, their likes, dislikes, what they do for holidays, what they do for fun activities, and just collaborating that into your everyday curriculum and just making them feel positive about themselves. That is the goal. The goal is to observe, reflect, and listen. Not in that order, sorry. Listen, observe, and reflect as a teacher, and to take notes and to incorporate all ethnicities throughout the classroom, so that way they are not just looking at posters and they don't see someone that looks like them. All those children want to be able to look up and see stuff that resemble them and that celebrate who they are. So classroom arrangements, curriculum, personal experiences, lesson plans that involve activities that discuss openly about the changes of the world, the differences around the world, and the differences inside our classroom and at homes. And then most importantly, working with families and parents to have them come in and help us work together to build strong young human beings and to hopefully change the future and how we all view each other so we can have better lives. Because the life that is going on outside of my house right now is scary. And it's scary because of COVID. It's scary because of all the racism and situations that are happening right now in this world. I just pray that we can get past this, that we can grow from this, learn from this, and change the world and change how people view each other. So we have to start with our young children, because by age 2, they already have a set way of thinking about people with different colors, or people with different lifestyles. So we have to really try hard to create positive impacts and experiences for our young children of the future. So I hope that you enjoyed my discussion, and I hope to see you again soon, and thank you so much, and have a blessed day. Bye.